You're welcome. Hi.
Hi. Hi. Hello.
Hello. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I've got a kidney disease. How about you? Anybody? Anybody have a kidney disease? Great. That's good to hear. Hi, I'm Joy Cutler, and I created this piece called Anatomy Lesson. It is the story of my experience having end-stage renal disease, being on dialysis for several years, and then finally getting a kidney transplant. This is really my story. It's a story about myself and my family's history. My brother and sister and I, we all inherited a genetic disease called Alport syndrome. Our parents were probably both carriers, but they didn't actually have the disease themselves. We all went through a lot dealing with this illness. We all had to go on dialysis, we all had kidney transplants, and we all had to bear the burden of what it's like to live with a chronic disease. I'm a storyteller, I'm a solo performer, I'm a playwright, and I have a very particular way that I tell my stories, and that is going to be quite different from how somebody else chooses to tell what happened to them. I find humor where other people might not find it. Who wants a Cal box? Okay. For me, it's been a survival tactic. It has helped me get through some really, really tough times in my life. Don't move them.
Wow. Wow.
It wasn't easy writing this piece. It was tough for me to write it because it forced me to go back and remember things that, in a lot of ways, I would prefer not having to remember. I said he, didn't you notice that? Mm-hmm. My adopted kidney is a he. He used to belong to a boy, a teenager. He was just 17 years old. And I know his name, this boy, my donor. I talk about my relationship to my transplanted kidney in the piece. My donor was not a living donor. So I never knew him, but because a part of him is now a part of me, I feel that we actually do have a relationship together, that there is a connection between us, that somehow we are actually communicating. See, the thing is, I wrote them a letter after I had my transplant. And that was a really, really hard letter to write. It's really hard to find the right tone, you know? I mean, how can I write this letter when I know that underneath all the words that I'm using, they could still hear me saying, I am so grateful for the death of your son. But I tried. I said, thank you. Thank you for letting a part of your son become a part of me. Thank you for trusting me to take care of it. And thank you for giving me my life back. I'm really glad I wrote this piece. I'm glad I've had some opportunities to perform it. I've had audience members come up to me after a show and tell me how much it meant to them, how it affected them. I've had people write me emails after a show and tell me how it moved them and how it meant something to them in a particular way that was important to them. And to me, that's what doing this is all about. That's why I am willing to talk about what happened to me. This vein has to get much stronger, tougher, more muscular. That's called a fistula. There's nothing artificial in here. You can see this scar? That's my fistula. Anatomy Lesson can serve a wide variety of audiences. It can be for patients who are on dialysis, patients who are waiting for a transplant. It can be for their friends and family so they can learn more about what it's like for them to deal with a chronic illness. I'd really like for organ and kidney organizations to take advantage of my piece and use it for educational outreach so they can make people more aware of the value of organ donation. It would also benefit people that are in the medical community and medical students because it would show them, through my experience as a patient, what it's like going through what I went through and give them a more holistic sense of what it's like to be in this situation. Now I believe it is time for a toast. Okay.
Anatomy lesson is my way of saying thank you to everyone that made it possible for me to be here today. People in the medical community, my friends, my family, my donor's family, we're all part of that. I think of this piece as a celebration, and I hope that this piece encourages people to not just survive, but also to thrive.
Toast to life, and for new chances to live it, and for those who made it possible to do so. Cheers.
Cheers.